Game of Thrones Season 3, Episode 2, Dark Wings, Dark Words. Here we go, second episode of Season 3. And I just want to say right off the bat, what a start to this season. First 2 episodes.
Hell of a start.
Yeah.
That's why it's the best, or top 2 at least.
Yeah. So I guess we have no funny quips.
No.
Might be our worst intro ever.
You guys hear about this Comic-Con? A lot of trailers.
I
haven't seen that many trailers since...
I thought you were going to make like a trailer park joke.
I was trying to think, but I couldn't connect the dots. I wasn't quick enough on that one.
What's that? The place in Twin Peaks with all the trailers? Trout Trailer Park, I think it's called. Mike Trout, hell of a baseball player.
Yeah.
Kid's on fire. Yeah, the first scene of this episode is Bran, and he's having another one of his visions. And this is something that the show does so well. I mean, they do a lot of things well, but specifically the Bran visions. They're so creepy and mysterious, and it's an introduction to a character, what do they call him? Little Grandpa?
That's such a baller nickname.
That is a great nickname, and it really fits, because the actor is like almost 30 years old, and he looks like a kid.
He's the same age as the Mountain.
Yeah, right? That discrepancy there is just amazing. And it's just a great dream, and he's trying to kill the three-eyed raven. And Jon and Robb also pop up in this vision, and Ned, the voice of Ned.
That Ned voice gets me, man.
Don't think too much, Bran.
Relax your bow arm.
And which one of you was a marksman at 10?
Father.
So it makes you think, is he dreaming, or is he just traveling back in time to that moment?
It could be the beginning stages of his green seer abilities. I think it might just be, a dream / vision / whatever the fuck goes on in his head. Because we do see Jojen, and Jojen is aware of the fact that he was in Bran's dream, because when they meet later on, he says, oh, no, remember we met before. You can't kill the three-eyed raven. So Jojen's aware of the fact. Yeah, seeing Robb and Jon again, that's
Guess
always...
it's the last time we see them together.
Yeah.
I wonder if they just ripped that from season 1, but I think that's them as actors in season 3, right?
I think so. Jon looks a little more fuller, like with his beard and his hair and everything like that. But yeah, and then we see Osha. She's not a big fan of...
Well.
What?
Jojen pops up and says that the three-eyed raven is Bran.
Oh, yeah, true.
So that makes me think, is Bran just sending messages to himself from the future, saying you need to find the three-eyed raven? It wasn't even the three-eyed raven himself. He was just sleeping in the cave. He just woke up when Bran got there in season 4.
What?
Oh, yeah, hello. Bran Stark, right?
Yeah, let me get my notes. Oh, yeah, Bran.
It could be Bran. I like how they play with that, too. They do it in the books as well when he goes back in time and he's present in certain scenes that were happening in season 1 or book number 1. So it's pretty cool. It's fun to play with. But like you said, yeah, Osha wakes up. Well, Bran wakes up and Osha is just completely bugging out because she's heard the stories of the three-eyed raven and the power of the wargs and all these magical figures north of the wall, and she knows how dangerous and powerful they can be.
Yeah, she's not having any of it. She's not a big fan. She's scared. I mean, I would be too, seeing the things she'd probably seen up north. And now she's heading back there with Bran, talking all this to her would be nonsense about three-eyed ravens and green seeing and warging.
Well, sense, really, not nonsense. Like
I said to her, for her, in her perspective.
Yeah, well, to her, it's just sense.
Oh.
Because she knows that it's true. That's why she's so scared.
Well, all right. Fucking literal on everything.
Well, why would she think it was nonsense when she knows it's true?
You're the worst sometimes. Just
why? But why would you say
that? You let Teddy
that?
get away with double guessing and things like that.
Double guessing?
Yeah, that's what he said. He double guessed himself in Westworld.
That's what he said?
Yeah, in the podcast. Not a peep. I think he even propped him up. He said, yeah, triple guessing.
Triple guess. That's only Teddy.
Me, make one little mistake and...
We'll get back to Bran and his wacky band of misfits. Or wacky group. They're not so wacky, though, Robb and Talissa. And we could see that northern depression creeping in on Robb, and it's just a tough season for Robb, and it doesn't get any better.
I was like, Lord Bolton, maybe he has some good news. Yeah. 2 letters, one of them has to be somewhat.
I got bad news and bad news. Which one was the good news?
I don't think he said. It's like, I think Robb's like, oh, one of them bring good news, and Ruse is like,
We're going to a funeral. I guess that's the good news out of this. That really is the good news, is that Tully's dead.
Yeah.
But I like the conversation between Robb and Talissa where she's talking about her perception of Westerosi people back when she was in Essos, and that she never figured that she would be married to one of them, even the king of the northern part of Westeros. It's unbelievable.
Hey, I mean, if you're gonna shoot high, not just some random Westerosi night. Go for the king.
She shot her shot in the DMs, man. She got that follow from a big celebrity and it just went right in. I see you, Talissa, working it. Yeah, and this next scene between Robb and Catelyn, where you can see that they're still not on great terms. Catelyn is asking him if she's going to be a prisoner at her own father's funeral, and they also
like you're just being literal. Like, obviously not, Cat.
Maybe, why not? I could see why he wouldn't want to keep his mom a prisoner. I mean, it's his mom. Like we said in the previous episode, when the men are watching him to see how he's going to treat her, you have an army to upkeep, and you have to keep the morale up. And if you're going to let prisoners just run around free, then that's not going to be great in the eyes of your men.
Yeah, well, that's the news, and I guess the worst news. Well, what he finds out is that what Ramsay's saying, that when they got there, the Ironborn fled, no sign of Bran and Rickon. They put Winterfell to the torch, which we know isn't true, but that leads them to probably think the worst.
Yeah, well, they said there's no sign of Bran and Rickon, and at this point, even when they approach the Red Wedding, Catelyn Stark believes that all of her children at that point are just dead, and Sansa's probably the only living one, but imagine the life that she's living, and we know that because we've witnessed it, but yeah, it's heartbreaking for her to think that her two youngest are dead, and she's been separated from them for so long that she hasn't been able to be a mother to them, to be caring, to teach them, to mold them into young men in this world because of the war, and we learn later in a scene with Catelyn and Talissa that she kind of blames herself for all of this, and it's one of the best scenes, but we'll get to that. But yeah, it's a great scene between Robb and Catelyn, and that relationship, I think they handle it a little better in the show.
You get to see more of Robb.
Yeah.
Show, so it always helps the dynamic between them.
Even going back though, it's funny how little you do see of Robb compared to the other main characters.
Yeah.
And you can make the case, even his time on the show, he's probably the 5th or 6th main character. Just from screen time.
I think his like title and his presence was always more important than his actual screen time.
Yeah.
Like Ned's son, King of the North, you felt that he was going to be a big part going forward, which
hey, they tricked us.
Yeah. Do
a good job of that. And this next scene is Theon being tortured. First scene of Theon in season 3, and they're torture. They're torturous to watch.
Dude, when he puts the knife in the fingernail, that fucking makes me ugh. God.
The way that they torture this man is just, and Ramsay just in the background, just lurking.
I can picture like what his men are thinking. It's like, what the hell is wrong with what's Ramsay doing? It's like, oh no, I think he's doing a bit. we'll just let it play out.
I was thinking of this, not even watching this scene, but it was the scene with Joffrey when he's getting his fitting, and he's just yelling at all the people that are giving him the different clothes. Every scenario in Westeros, any person that you would imagine yourself being, it just sucks. Life sucks in this show. Even everybody.
Even later on when Lady Olenna's like,
oh yeah,
she asks for the cheese.
Lemon cake guy.
Yeah. It's like, oh no, sorry, the cheese will be served, and she berates this man. He's just following the fucking order, like he's just following the menu. And I was like, wow, it must be suck to be that guy too.
Yeah, it just sucks to be everybody in this show. Higher up, lowborn, doesn't matter. The only person who's got it made is Oberyn, and then he had to go and fuck it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this scene is just, it's torture. It's hard to watch. It's part of that horror element that the show brings, where there's so many different elements of the show in terms of the genres that they kind of go back and forth with, but the horror one is always present, and these are some of the most horrific scenes of the entire show.
Would you have liked them to go book route where he just disappeared for all of season 3, Theon, and we finally catch up to him as Reek?
No. I love these scenes. I mean, I don't love them because they're grotesque, but I think this adds more to his redemption, because I think this is an arc that has been handled pretty well throughout all of the seasons.
Yeah.
I think there's only one scene that I hate in season 7 when he punches the guy, when he gets punched in the dick and he looks down. He's like, I don't have a dick. It's ridiculous. But no, I'm glad that they showed this. Are you?
Yeah, it does give some more insight.
Because he kind of just shows up at first you're not sure who he is.
Yeah.
Because it just says Reek, right?
Yeah,
his chapter.
I don't know. It was kind of cool, but obviously
yeah.
With probably contracts, they needed to have some Alfie Allen in here. So I think it was a nice.
They easily could have done it. Did it for Barristan. He didn't show up in season 2.
But he wasn't a main character.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, you can make it the case that like I'm you can make it the case that Theon is a more important character than Robb in terms of the contract situation. That he might have more screen time.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I'm glad we agree on that.
Yeah.
What
do we do now? We never really agree on much.
Well, I guess we just close the channel, right?
Yeah.
Self-destruct button. And then we have Jaime and Brienne continuing their trek to King's Landing.
It's so funny. That's on my notes too, word for word.
Continuing their trek to King's Landing.
Jaime and Brienne continue their trek to King's Landing.
Wow, look at that. That wasn't on my notes. I just have Jaime and Brienne talk about Renly. Some of the best quotes from Jaime here.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I like when he's antagonized her about Renly. I like when he goes like, I don't blame him, I don't blame you either. We don't get to choose who we love.
And that's kind of the crack.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Jaime said something that I agree with. It's very profound. And he also has the quote, too, where he says it's a shame that the throne wasn't made of cocks because you never would have got Renly off of it. He can make those jokes, but then he turns around and says, oh, you love who you love. Love is love, bro. It's just a great dichotomy with his competing personalities.
That whole scene's great, too, when he's inquiring about how Brienne got into Kat's service, and he's trying to, like, put seeds of doubt into her mind. It's like, oh, once you do this, Kat's not going to want you, and you're just going to be alone again. And
yeah, he kind of talks about, too, did you love Renly? And I don't think she did. I even think her relationship with Jaime is platonic, where she grows to respect these men who treat her as a human being rather than just making fun of her.
Well, yeah, as we've seen and we've heard, she's not used to this type of treatment, so it's a nice little change up when she is treated with respect from Renly and Jaime later on.
Yeah, I think she says to Podrick, I think it's in season 6 or season 5. I think it's season 5, where she said all she ever wanted was to fight for a lord that she believes in, and all the good lords are dead. So I thought Renly was somebody who I always thought Renly should have been or would have been a great king. And Olenna says in this episode that that's ridiculous because Robert had 2 brothers and 3 sons, but I believed in Renly. I was a big Renly guy when he was going to form up with Robb, and I think she respected Catelyn. She says it to her that she has a woman's courage, and she believed in Catelyn. But yeah, that's just the world of Westeros, where we have Sansa, who has this, she imagines that she's going to be the queen someday, and her Prince Charming is coming to rescue her and take her south, and her whole worldview gets shattered. Brienne's worldview gets shattered again and again and again. It's just a different worldview, so it's kind of the genius.
It's funny the difference between, I guess we'll get to it a little later, with Sansa and Margaery, but how Sansa always wanted, her dream was to be the prince would save her, or like she was very.
It happens again in this episode.
Well, I know, but
with Loras.
But she dreamed of the fairy tale, but but that was her approach. Like, I'll marry a prince one day and I'll be queen. Marjorie's more, I'm gonna be queen no matter what. I'll make sure of it. I'm gonna make myself queen. Where you kind of see that difference of just philosophy and
personality.
Yeah.
And this next scene, as I mentioned before, Joffrey's fitting, and Cersei. There's that scene in season 2 where Cersei and Tyrion are talking about how she can't control Joffrey, that she's tried to control him and she just can't. And it's funny because Margaery has Joffrey in the palm of her hand for most of this season. But it's just funny because I guess Joffrey just sees Cersei as somebody who's trying to boss him around, just can't shake the motherly image that Cersei has.
Still in the fucking shade too, when, I guess, what would you call that little like shoulder cloth thing?
Oh, yeah. She was
like,
yeah, it should be
it's Tyrell Rose. Just give it to your wife. It should be enough to cover her.
Yeah, Cersei's great like that.
And she's trying to inquire like what Joffrey thinks of his new bride-to-be.
I love that line, too, even though it's not something that I believe in, where Cersei says Margaery made the choice to marry a traitor. And Joffrey said, no, she didn't make that choice. She just did what she was told, and that's what smart women do in this world. They do what they're told.
In Westeros, that's kind of the hand you're dealt. We see it all the time. Cersei goes back to it when she was shipped off to marry Robert against her will, and that's just the way it goes.
And this moment in time, the moment that George decided to focus on in the history of Westeros, is when so many women are trying to break that mold, like Daenerys, like Sansa, even Cersei in the show. Because I don't know if she's going to become queen in the books.
At this point, then as we see, it progresses into breaking.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah,
breaking.
Not just the wheel,
just the world. And this next scene between Sansa and Shae, we talked about how in last episode that the warning that Ros gives to Shae to keep an eye on Littlefinger, nothing really comes of it. But in this scene, Shae does try to warn Sansa. And even in this moment, Sansa doesn't know the full scope of Littlefinger's ambitions, where she thinks that Littlefinger is truly looking out for her because of the love that he had for Catelyn. But Shae knows, and I think it's due to Ros, and Shae's not a dummy. She can tell when somebody wants something from Sansa. That Shae thinks that Littlefinger wants
she knows
to marry
what she
Sansa.
Doesn't know.
She doesn't know the full extent. Yeah.
Well, she says that Littlefinger only wants one thing from like a pretty young girl like her.
Right.
Which implies sex, but Littlefinger is thinking much beyond that. He wants her name, not necessarily Sansa. So yeah, she's very. I guess her outlook is closely relates what Littlefinger actually wants, and Sansa just, oh, he had a crush on my mom. He's just being nice.
And even when Sansa is starting to learn how the game is played and how things work, Loras comes to her room, and once again, she's Sansa from season 1. You have Prince Charming coming to save her, another Prince Charming that's going to save me and whisk me away from King's Landing. He kind of brings her into the Lion's Den, or the Garden of Thorns.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Margaery and Olenna, and a great introduction to Olenna Tyrell.
Oh, it sets the tone for a character beautifully. It's like,
She's like, it's so good for you to visit me in my foolish flock of hens. No, she doesn't. She's great. She just, sharp tongue, speaks her mind. She's full id.
It's kind of like the beginning of, early stages of the grander Tyrell plan, trying to inquire about Joffrey. And I love that too, because when she asks Sansa about Joffrey, she's so hesitant to say anything at first, but then eventually she lets a little truth out, but then right back returns to that, I guess, that fear. And then they ease her into it a little more, and then she tells them it's a monster. And their reaction is so great. Like, oh, pity.
Like, oh, okay, yeah, that sucks. Guess we're going to have to kill him.
It's like, yeah, we knew that, but...
Great line, too, when she says, once the cow's been milked, there's no squeezing the cream back in its udders.
Can't put the milk back into the udder.
She's quick, man. She's slick. But that reaction is great, too, because, yeah, they've heard rumors, they've heard stories that Joffrey is a terrible person, and Sansa, like you said, she's so dramatic, the way that she's delivering what Joffrey has done to her. And that reaction is great. They're like, okay, cool. Check that off the list. He's got a younger brother. Okay.
Sansa, why aren't you eating your lemon cakes? It's like, I just want to do the most traumatic 30 seconds of my life.
Cuts later, she's just stuffing them in her mouth. Oh, I love these lemon cakes.
Can I take these to go, please?
A great scene, too, between Robb and Lord Karstark, where Karstark is basically breaking down why he's losing faith in this cause, and he's wondering why they're traveling to the Riverlands, why they're going to Riverrun to the funeral of Hoster Tully. And Robb is saying, listen, this is my grandfather, we need to pay our respects, but I kind of agree with Karstark here. There's no time for the funeral, man. I guess he needs to meet with Edmure, get his men, and then Edmure fucks that up.
Well, he thought he did good.
Great line by Karstark here, though.
Yeah, I like it too. And he says, well, he lost the war the day he married her, referring to Talissa. And yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hard to argue with that one, bud.
I was waiting for you to pop up in the scene and be like, well, wait a minute there, bub.
Well, it's...
If Theon never took winter...
Yeah, I mean...
I do love the line, too, where he's like, permission to speak freely, my king. He's like, have you not been speaking freely?
It's getting tight.
Yeah, Northerners always speak freely.
Can't wait to chop your fucking head off.
And this next scene between Talissa and Catelyn, one of the best scenes of the season, one of the best scenes of the show. Michelle Fairley, what an actress in this moment.
So underrated for her time on the show.
I love the introduction to this scene when Talissa's talking about how, Talissa's struggling with riding the horse, and Catelyn says the horse knows that that you're afraid of her. And it's kind of the relationship that Catelyn and Talissa have, where they're not on great ground right now. It's still a little icy. And Talissa asks her if she could help her with the dream catcher that Catelyn is making, whatever that thing is.
Dream catcher.
Yeah, that protects the children. Catelyn says, no, you can't help me. And she thinks, oh, okay, then I'll back off. She's like, only a mother can do it.
Bitch.
Yeah. Too bad you'll never be a mother.
Sorry, fine. Oh, man. Whoa. Jesus Christ.
Little Ned Jr.
Oh, man.
You want to teach Ned Jr. how to make dream catchers?
God, that's too much, man. We'll get to it.
It's a coming.
Yeah, I like how she goes into how she said she made...
You?
All right. How she made one for Bran after his fall. And when Jon, when he was... Can you stop? This is a nice scene. And when he was a child, after she was just... how she prayed for Jon to die when Ned brought her back, and she couldn't accept him as part of the family. And
great line, too, that Maester Luwin said, if he's going to survive, it's going to be a very long night. I was like, Jon already survived the long night once.
Oh, wow.
Now he's got... And I was thinking, too, just taking the dialogue from this scene and making a Jon Snow trailer, so much of what she's saying kind of mirrors Jon Snow's life. When she's talking about how the boy died, but he survived, he was brought back to life, and because of her prayers, but then she still couldn't love him. You can make like a little mini Jon Snow trailer throughout the seasons to the dialogue here.
Why don't you do it?
Should I?
Comment down below, let us know what you want to think.
Hey, YouTubers, if you want to see my Jon Snow Catelyn narration trailer. No, how good is the writing in this scene?
No, it is great, and it's kind of depressing, too, knowing Jon's real parentage.
Yeah, that she was jealous of a woman that she never met.
Or just,
Lyanna.
Or she had all this blame for Ned that really isn't warranted.
No, yeah, it's not. And I love this too. Somebody commented this back, I think it was the second episode of season 1. We were wondering why Catelyn hated Jon so much, and it goes to the books when Catelyn is thinking to herself that she could never understand why Ned protected Jon so fiercely, why he protected him more than the other children. And we know now because, he's the son of Rhaegar Targaryen and his dead sister.
Yeah.
So that's why he did protect him so fiercely, and it just makes the scene so much better when you see it through that context.
I love how they do this. They always when they talk about someone in one scene, they just transition, and we see little Jon and Mance.
See where he is, yeah.
Yeah, Mance.
I just want to mention that Catelyn also blames herself for everything. That's just kind of unfair.
No, yeah, laying up, Cat.
But yeah, Jon and Mance, two very similar characters.
Yeah, he talks about the difficulty of uniting 90 clans together. And,
I don't know how he did that.
Well, told them the truth.
That didn't work with Jon when he went to go talk to the Wildlings. I love that too, that Mance, they're just so stubborn. I don't think it's a plot hole, but they're that stubborn.
My favorite thing too with Mance is like, I have Wildling blood. Like, no, you don't. You were a Night's Watch. You immigrated there.
No, but he was a Wildling boy.
Was he?
And they took him in.
All right, restart that then.
My first stump, I'm not taking that out.
Yes, you are.
I knew something of Game of Thrones that you didn't know. What do you mean I'm not taking that out?
Sorry, I didn't know the nuances of Mance Raider.
That's like when Brienne beat Jaime later in the episode. I think it's because you haven't had something to eat. You're a little weak.
Well, whatever.
You don't know the nuances of
Mance Raider.
You're like Margaery. Huh? I don't know the
sorry.
subtlety of politics. They're lost on me.
All right, everyone gets one, all right?
Yeah, and he talks about killing Halfhand, and it was a struggle for Jon. And Mance is like, yeah, I like you too, but I won't struggle to kill you because I have Wildling blood, as I confirmed earlier. But yeah, uniting all the tribes, I don't know how he did it. 9 different languages, he said.
Rosetta Stone.
Google Translate, man.
Then we get our first look at Oral.
Oral. The pirate from Pirates of the Caribbean. I think it's Oral.
Or Office fame.
Yeah,
UK.
And he's also in a movie that I watched recently. Can't remember the name.
Okay, yeah.
He wrote it.
We all know that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and our first look at it, basically, well, we've seen a little bit of Bran, but we didn't really get...
Now it's official.
Yeah.
And this scene just makes me wish Jon was a warg. So bad. So bad. I wish Jon was a warg in the show. They couldn't have included just that.
Yeah.
Just Jon.
Not Bran. Not even Bran, just
No, Bran as well, but Jon for the Stark children. And maybe Arya.
Arya, we get a little sense of a connection in season 7, but yeah, we never really get to see it with Robb or Jon. And he sees the aftermath of the Fist of the First Men, the massacre of the Crows by the White Walkers.
And then we have the Crows walking, trying to get back to Castle Black to warn everybody. And Samwell Tarly is just not having a good time here.
Bullying him. Fuck you, Rast.
That guy that is bullying him doesn't seem like he's that much skinnier.
Yeah, it's like the fat kid
piggy.
making fun of another fat kid.
Yeah, it's like you're the fatter kid. Like if Sam wasn't there, he'd be the fat kid.
That's what it is.
It's like when Jerry leaves in
like
Parks and Rec, and Tom is the new Jerry.
Yeah.
How did this happen?
It's like the new kid in school, like, you gotta wait for a new kid.
New kid.
Yeah, so everyone can shift to him, but...
Great moment by Mormont, though. No, my favorite moment in this scene is when Ed just tells Sam straight up.
You left me. When the White Walkers came, you left me.
Aye, we left you. You're fat and you're slow. We didn't want to die.
They get him up.
Guess so.
Stop bullying Sam, all right?
Great moment by Mormont, though.
Yeah, Sam's so salty. He's like, you guys left me. He's like, yeah.
And now this is where, in this episode, where Bran officially meets Jojen and Meera. And in the book, he meets them in book number 2.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Winterfell.
Yeah, they're at Winterfell. And
they come to pledge their allegiance to King Robb.
And the first time I watched this, I remember for so long, I never made the connection. I guess because I hadn't read the books that they were Howland Reed's kids. I thought they were just 2 random old whippersnappers wandering through the forest. But this is a great introduction to Jojen.
It sets up so much. That's what I wrote too. Just the mystery surrounding him. Hits fucking Summer with the hezzy. And then
he did hit her with the hesitation cross behind the back. Pull up, pump, jab, pump, shot. Jojen's got good feet work, man. But that whole Mexican standoff when Osha's got the spear behind his neck and then Meera pops up, it's like, I carry the weapons. I'm better with them. It's like, oh, I love Meera. As much as I love Jojen, I love Meera more.
A grenade up there. This is a Mexican standoff. That was not part of the deal.
And I'll tell you what, these are 2 characters that I think their arcs were very fulfilling. for as much as they got in the show compared to their book counterparts. And we don't know how it's going to end up, obviously. But
yes, it's either, I guess, the Jojen paste or him getting stabbed.
a lot of great introductions, though, in this episode, because in this next scene, it's Arya, Gendry, and Hot Pie. And before they meet the Brotherhood, I love how Gendry is checking Arya, saying
Well, he's playing us.
Yeah, he was basically the audience.
Yeah.
Like, you had these 3 kills. You could have ended the war. You could have killed this guy, that guy. You could have killed Voldemort, Darth Vader, Palpatine. You could have took them all out, son.
Whole Empire, Tarkin, Vader.
And the introduction to the Brotherhood, 3 great introductions in this episode, where at first you don't know whose side they're going to be on, and we've heard about the Brotherhood, but we don't know that they are the Brotherhood when they first meet Arya and Gendry and Hot Pie. When he launches the arrow in the air and he tells Hot Pie to move, and they convince them to join them for food and drink, and he has the line, half of the country's starving, and then we have Tubby over here. And Thoros is like, that's probably why half the country's starving.
So it's all the fat shaming, huh?
Yeah, there's a lot of fat shaming.
I think George is just taking it out.
I love Thoros Amir, though, the actor who
Yeah, he's
portrays him. He's very charismatic.
Speaking of charisma, we got Shay.
Oh my god, she's electric in this scene.
And Tyrion. Tyrion's paranoid about Shay. Still, I guess, a little shaken up about what his father said, and he knows his father's not one to make threats and not...
To make idle threats.
Yes, that's exactly what I wanted to say. Thank you for finishing my sentence.
Gotcha.
But Shay shifts it. She's worried about Sansa and Littlefinger.
Oh yeah, she's so worried.
Yeah.
Because she heard from Roz, who Tyrion knows
Yeah.
a couple times. It's like, yeah, I slept with her. I slept with her twice.
But he keeps trying to protect Shay. He's like, that's the one. You gotta be careful. Tyrion's like,
Great back and forth.
I'm tired of you talking.
I do love their relationship so much better in the show than in the book. And I was even reading a Reddit post from about 4 years ago, and they were wondering if it was going to take the same route, because that ending between Tyrion and Shay is so dark and tragic. But they had actually built a real relationship between them in the show, and it would be that much more tragic because there is chemistry there. There is love, some semblance of love between them. And these little moments between Robb and Talissa, between Tyrion and Shay, this is what made the show so great.
I love how Shay knows how to work Tyrion. It's like,
It's not hard.
How do I get him to shut up?
I'll blow him.
Yeah. Let him get his nut, then he'll shut his fucking mouth. I can go back to just chilling.
And talk about somebody who knows how to work a man. Margaery and Joffrey.
Oh,
Marjorie's putting on a fucking...
clinic.
Yeah. It's a fucking tutorial of how to deal with your psychopath. Are you having trouble? Are you dating an authoritarian dictator?
Well, she also had, like, comparing her to Sansa, she has the advantage of just...
Not being an idiot?
Well, no, actually having, like, an alive...
experience?
Actually having a family that's alive. Not traitors. Where, you know, Joffrey can't do the same things to Margaery because they need the Tyrells.
That's a great point.
Like, if Ned was alive, obviously Joffrey wouldn't be doing this stuff to Sansa. So she has that backing as well as just knowing how to play a man like Joffrey.
He does try to push her, though. He tries to see how far he can push her in this scene.
He's grilling her over Renly for a little.
But the way that she plays it, where she's talking about how Renly had these perversions and never wanted to try and make a child, and Joffrey's like, He's like, I'm going to sign a law and make sure that that's punishable by death. Marjorie's like, I fully support you.
Yeah. It's, you know.
But this scene, man, when he's showing her how the crossbow works, and they're standing in front of the mirror together, and Margaery says to him, could you imagine me ever killing somebody? It must be such a thrill to be on this side and to shoot something on that side and watch it die.
Finally, someone that gets it.
Yes! That's what I've been trying to say for these past 2 years.
You want to go hunting with me?
And then she springs the question, do you think that I could ever kill something? Joffrey's like, do you? She's like, yeah, I think I could. The music comes in, and they're looking so powerful. They look like a power couple. But Joffrey has no idea what's in store for him. At least he's not Theon.
No.
Because the torturing just gets worse.
Or first look at Ramsay, too. He's playing.
Yeah. First ever look at Ramsay, right? And I guess they kind of played with it, too, where Ramsay was pretending to be a good guy. Because that happens in the book, but it's earlier. Because Ramsay shows up at Winterfell, and he's pretending to be on Theon's side.
Well, he's Reek.
Right, he's Reek. He takes on the persona of Reek.
That was a whole fucking... That was a whirlwind of a...
That was a mindfuck, yeah, in the book. But they kind of play with that, too, where he's pretending to be on Theon's side, where he says, your sister sent me, I'm going to come at night when the castle sleeps. It just shows how fucking sadistic Ramsay is. That he would go to these lengths just to fuck with this one...
Extra.
But, like, why him, too? It's, that's just who I've picked. It's who I've chosen.
Well, I guess it's an easy target. I mean, he is an enemy of the North. So no one's going to miss him. I don't know.
Is that? I just imagine him explaining that to his men just like that. Well, he's a enemy of the North, so yeah, I guess.
We gotta get information out of him. Come on.
Yeah, I love the questions too. They're just so redundant. They mean nothing.
Yeah.
Why did you take Winterfell? If Theon's giving any answer that comes to his head, he'll say anything.
And he does. He changes his story so many times. He keeps giving different answers because he wants anything to make it stop. That must be a hell of a life. Like, you think, like, taking your socks off after a long day is good? Imagine getting that thing out of your foot.
And then, like, yeah. So you're saying the relief of not being tortured anymore?
Yeah.
You had to tiptoe right into Bran and his crew of misfits, these wacky magic-wielding sickos, that Bran is finally learning what he is. You're a warg, Bran. And Osha, once again, is very skeptical of Jojen.
Kind of like that. I mean, obviously it's cool with Jojen explaining the different nuance of green seeing and warging, and
that it makes no sense.
Yeah, and I prefer the Osha and Meera conversation too.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Isn't it a little pathetic that your brother has a sister carrying weapons? And yeah, I like that little back and forth they have, because Osha should be all for that. The wildling woman who.
Yeah, well, they're two dogs that see each other in the park, and they're like, we're similar.
Yeah.
So I don't like you. Because that's essentially, they're playing the same role.
It's like the Family Guy Star Wars joke. It's like, only other woman in the universe. I don't like her.
I don't like her.
It's like the only other woman on our travel to the wall.
Yeah, I don't like her.
Meera's
a kind of a calmer, more gentle version of Osha. So I love the moment, too, where Bran is telling Jojen that he dreamed that his father would die, and Jojen is telling him, no, you saw it. You were actually there. And when I told my father that your father had died, it was the first time that I ever saw Howland Reed cry. And we never see Howland Reed in the show except for in a flashback. But I think just reading the books and knowing the history of Robert's Rebellion and the relationship that Ned Stark and Howland Reed had, just hearing that line, it gets me right in the gut. Oh, Jojen says that he saw that.
What?
Bran says that, oh, your father saved my father. And Jojen's like, yeah, I saw it. So he was going back in time and checking things out. Peeping Jojen.
We got the Brotherhood and Arya hanging out at the old inn, the crossroads, or
it's got to be the crossroads, right?
That's the only one they ever talk about.
Yeah, it's the only inn in Westeros. You want a feather bed and some nice ale? Gotta go to the crossroads.
It's a good tagline.
Yeah, that's the commercial.
You know, they're talking about, he's inquiring about, how did you guys escape from Harrenhal? And Arya's like, oh, like, you know, he's a smith, he gets swords, and I could fight too. They're just like, oh, really, huh?
Oh my God, Thoros showed her up and embarrassed her in front of her friends.
Well, to be fair,
it was messed up.
She doesn't have Needle. She's not used to the weight of the other sword.
That is true. If she had Needle, probably would have been the same outcome. Boy, Thoros, man, he's smooth. But this is a great scene too, because you think, oh, Arya's got a chance here to kind of escape with her life. Maybe the Brotherhood is going to deliver her to her family.
Well, they're nice too. They're like, oh, yeah, you let us go? Like, yeah. We'll let you go.
They're like some of the only nice people in Westeros.
Those guys and those Lannisters. Ed Sheeran's crew of Lannisters.
Oh, yeah, the Ed Sheeran Lannister boys. And if they ever linked up, oh, boy, that'd be quite an episode.
Oh!
Yeah, everybody's howling in the background, and Arya's just trying so hard not to make eye contact with this man.
It's a good spot by the Hound.
Oh, yeah, well, he's a hound. He probably sniffed her out. It's like, I smell stalks.
Yeah, every time he delivers, like, what are you doing with the stalk, bitch?
You go back to that first episode when the king arrives in the first episode of season 1, and Arya looks at the Hound, and he's got the bull helmet on, and this is the start of the arc that they're going to share together for the next 2 seasons. Really, they become inseparable in a way.
Good duo.
Oh, I think it's the best duo of the show. I think it's the best pairing. I would love to see the Game of Thrones 1.5, where it's just Arya and the Hound and what they were doing in between, like even more.
Just chilling.
They just retcon it in an anime created by Shinichiro Watanabe. But this last scene, the showdown between Jaime and Brienne, and you made a good point.
I often do.
Why is he trying to escape?
Yeah, I guess you can look at it as,
I'm going to bring you home to your comfortable bed and a castle and your money. I need to get out of here.
He's going home as a prisoner. He's trying to save face a little. Try to go home as a free man, then being a prisoner to a woman. And I read somewhere too, maybe he feels if he escapes and goes home on his own, that he's not, that deal he has with Catelyn isn't valid anymore.
Okay.
So
maybe less likely to get caught as well.
Yeah, so I don't know. But
What do you think about the fight?
hell of a fight. I mean, I like how
You hate when people say that Brienne beat Jaime.
I don't hate it. I'm just saying that no, Brienne definitely tap dances on him, but in the book she relates like she talks about how strong Jaime was and how great he is, and the chains definitely inhibited his ability to fight her. And the fact that he's been a prisoner for 2 seasons now.
Yeah, the fight is from his perspective initially in the book because Brienne reminisces on it. But even when he's fighting, he thinks to himself, I'm weak. I can't fight anymore. It's after about a couple of minutes where he realizes that he's getting the shit kicked out of him.
That'd be an interesting, like, peak Jaime, peak Brienne.
Yeah, but Jaime would kill her.
Well,
Brienne's a great swordsman,
I think
but Jaime's the GOAT.
Yeah, I think he's the best in Westeros.
Yeah.
Maybe Barristan's old ass, but
Oberyn. I think Oberyn would have gave him a run for his money.
would have been close. That'd be interesting. They should make a video game, like Capcom versus Marvel, but just Game of Thrones.
Westerosi fighters. That would be awesome. Captured by everybody's favorite bounty hunter, Locke.
Margot Holt. Yeah, the Boltmen find him. Locke, he tries to bribe him, and this is kind of like that beginning.
Of course.
That beginning stages of why he takes his hand later on. It's like, oh, everything that happens, you say, your father. And then he says to them, it's like, oh, my father will make you a rich man or whatever. And he's like, yeah, but can you give me a head? Because that's what Robb's going to do if he finds out I let you go. Even though I'm, Bruce a little more loose on his allegiances. So we'll see how that works out. But, yeah, Jaime's captured.
Gets really bad for him.
Yeah.
He really does. Not a great season for a lot of the characters.
I think that's the theme of the show. Not a great season for any of your characters. Except
Great
for Jon.
episode, though.
Jon always is on the come up until he dies.
Until he fucking gets... until he dies, until his love of his life is murdered in his hands. Yeah, he's always on the come
But he's doing good now.
He has to kill his... he's having a great time. He has to go fucking climb the wall.
Daenerys, that's basically what I was getting at.
Oh, season... Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, until he dies sacrificing himself to kill the Night King. But no, great. He's on the come up like no other, brother. Great episode, though.
Yes, it is.
I'd probably give it another 10 out of 10.
Wow, you're just throwing out 10s.
No, I'm kidding. 9.5.
Yeah, it's fair. I thought we stopped rating these. I don't think
We did.
rated the past couple.
But I've been so excited about these first two that... Can you tell that I'm very enthusiastic, audience? Because I love this season.
Yeah, you've mentioned that numerous times already. But, yeah, great season. Let's go forward. And only 7 more episodes to the Red Wedding.
Goodbye, everybody. Hey guys, thank you for watching this video, and before we go, I want to quickly thank our Patreon supporters. Without your support, we wouldn't be able to grow and evolve as a channel, so thank you for your generous pledges. If you are interested in supporting our channel through Patreon, visit www.patreon.com/nerdsoup, and you can see the different rewards we offer to our Patreon supporters. T-shirts, mugs, stickers, access to our behind-the-scenes video, and more. Thanks again for watching this video, and make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Or dislike, don't share, and unsubscribe. It's a binary world, folks.